who are you? And tell me what you
It's
do.
great. It's a great question. My name is Justin, or Pix or Pickstitch on Twitch and other platforms. Um, I am a content creator. I've just recently switched to full time, having worked the 9 to 5 slog in project management. I've worked in agencies and whatnot for many, many years, and just recently made the switch this year. I focus on Twitch predominantly on the makers and crafting community where I first started. I focus on different things, whether it's the fiber arts I've done within crochet and cross stitch needle felting. I do a lot of nerdy fandom themed content, whether it's your favorite Mario characters or Sonic the Hedgehog or just a whole host of things behind me and others I've done. But I also do some pixel art. I've gone into Lego, diamond painting, and model building. And I love to dabble in things I've never done before, like, or done in a long time, like model paintings coming up in watercolor and just a whole host of stuff. So yeah, I've done quite a few collabs in my time and myself, so I can appreciate what goes into these, and a lot of charity focus as well on the channel, education, and who knows what the future holds. It's really what's in the cards. We'll see, but yeah, it's predominantly a variety mix, and then some variety gaming too, whether it's party things with community members or things I've been wanting to play or have fun with, and charity fulfillments and goals, or lots of wigs,
Yeah.
right? And onesies and cosplays. That seems to be the memes.
It's true. You are incredibly busy. Thank you for tying it up in a nice package of what you do, which, I mean, it's tough. There's a lot going on here.
I know.
I love it. I want you to know that I have always enjoyed the fact that you are so dynamic, because I'll come by a stream, and like you said, maybe one day you are doing Lego or designing a brick head, or you are talking to other guests yourself about the things that they do, as well as all the many other things that you get into. And the fact that you have built a community around all of those things is very impressive, in that it's always hard to balance the different aspects of your interests and make those still shine on your channel. You do a very great job of that, so I commend you.
Thanks,
that's one of the things I noticed about your channel and your community, is that it's a very great mix of all the things that you like to do, whether it be the video game side, the maker and crafter side. It's all there. And so it's a really cool community, and the fact that you can blend it all together is fantastic. So yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
Hey man, you're welcome. You're welcome, dude. It's very cool. Few people can really pull that off. And so I think that is just very notable, and something that you do very well. I've heard bits and pieces of your story when it comes to like getting started on Twitch. Can you walk me through that? How did that go?
Yeah, it's a funny journey, because everyone has a story on Twitch, whether as a creator or a viewer. I started on Twitch as a viewer back when Justin TV had just kind of migrated and became Twitch. And I was moderating, funny enough, for StarCraft, different pros, different tournaments. I was a part of ESL. I was also doing Heroes of the Storm for a little bit, which is, again, another Blizzard game. I had always kind of been involved in that scene. And I was just moderating, learning about the platform. We had Ventrilo at the time, Memory Unlocked,
Wow.
Yeah, Vent and all the other tools at the time. And then just kind of went and did that for a few years. I mean, I was playing StarCraft. I hit Masters. So that was my intro to all of the Twitchverse. It wouldn't be until years later, I had taken a bit of a pause, about 3-4-ish years, and came back as a content creator. But before that, I was just making patterns and throwing them in Facebook groups, and having people hiss at me because it's Mario and I don't own the rights, even though I wasn't selling it, or people loving it and wanting more and asking where to get my stuff. And it just kind of started there. And then after finding my way through Facebook, I moved into Etsy and selling stuff, because who are you without an Etsy in the maker world.
Right.
And then people started reporting me to Nintendo. I had 12 takedown notices from lawyers, a bunch of legal fun stuff there. Viacom CBS was one of them for Ninja Turtles. And I realized at that time, like, I never felt good about selling work and IPs I never owned. It was just putting your name out there and people are, already there. Why aren't you? So I guess the inadvertent peer pressure, but also the norm, air quote. So I closed Etsy, had a stitch along in hand and no home.
Oh man.
I said, where am I going? Everyone said, go to Facebook because you're already here, and go to YouTube. And I'm like, I'd rather, I kind of know Twitch. Like, let's go to Twitch. No one ever picked that. I didn't know a damn person.
Yeah.
And I jumped on, I hit the button now almost just over 4 years ago. So that was my intro to Twitch and how I got here from my journey.
I think that's incredible that you have this long well, not long, but you have this history, right? Where on the esports side, you have this platform you were very familiar with, a totally different world than what you were already starting to ramp up in, and that you decided, hey, maybe Twitch is an option. And especially 4 years ago, it wasn't as common as it is now, right? I mean, it's still, we're still a very niche group on Twitch, but
yeah,
the further you go back, you realize that there was even less on the platform for us as people who are not the non-gaming side, right? Whether it be makers and crafting. I mean, it's great that at that point there was already a makers and crafters category, but even then it was very tough to be found. What were those first streams like, starting on Twitch and kind of trying to find how to make it all work? What was that like?
Oh God, great question. So when I started, I had just created a stitch along called The Pixels That Made Us, or the Gamer Sal, which Sal means stitch along, SAL. And my goal was to raise money for charity. I had already been making nerdy themed content because that's just what I've been doing since I was a kid, staring at the TV screen and whatnot. So, it was really, how do I make all the memories come back from people in their youths and their children and them as kids, and really put us out there. And so we raised money for Child's Play charity. My first stream on Twitch, I didn't know many people at all. Some had come over from Facebook. I had barely hit 30, 40 follows. And I had 12 guests on my first stream.
Wow.
Didn't have a sense of what I was doing. I had the charity president on for Child's Play charity. Different test stitchers I've worked with who basically test the work that you do in a stitching capacity. Friends from Facebook who just loved my stuff. And some of them are still friends and moderators or VIP or community members in my channel today. But I hit the button, 12 guests and stitching along. I'll share with you all who haven't seen this. This is the piece here, my first 20 weeks.
Wow.
It is basically 22,000 stitches, 205 colors, and almost 180 games represented. And it's sort of like the Where's Waldo, where you've got Nintendo in the letter G, A is Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, M is Arcade, E is Sega Genesis, and R is Super Nintendo. And we had 20 releases. This was my first 20 weeks on Twitch, was stitching this, and we raised $8,500 just from a PDF. No shenanigans, no wheel spins or crazy bean boozleds or whatever. Just,
that's incredible.
If you want to make a donation of any amount, $1, $2, $5, an angel drop, whatever, there was no minimums. That was my start.
Amazing. Way to go, man.
Thanks, man.
I didn't realize that was your first stream.
Yep.
For me, I had dabbled in Twitch for a little bit, super casually, but when I really decided to stream, my first, what I would consider real stream, was when I decided to do fundraising for Extra Life. So same deal, right? Where I sat down and I heard about this great cause that gave money to children's hospitals across North America. And so I was like, yeah, I'll get involved. And their big thing was, oh yeah, we encourage everyone to get on Twitch and do some form of live broadcast to do the fundraising. And I was like, oh yeah, totally messed around. And another what I would call a great connection point for us is I was playing StarCraft at the time. So I was like, that's how I learned about Twitch, was I was watching StarCraft. I was really enjoying it. At the time I started by exposure, also looking at League of Legends, because those were the two big things at the time on Twitch.
That's it.
Yeah. I got into Twitch through esports as well, not being an active like broadcasting participant, but rather a viewer. And then my first experience was fundraising. So you and I have a lot in common when it comes to like what brought us to the platform. Now that you described like what that was like for you, what made you feel like this was the way to go? Like, was there any signs for you to say, yeah, this is like the place that I want to be?
It's a great question. You know, I had looked at all platforms at the time before I chose anything. You know, I did look at Facebook, I did look at YouTube, but because I had that tie to the charity, wanting to do more interconnected things with, you know, charities and donations, I looked at what was required for YouTube in order to be able to do some of that stuff for Facebook. And at the time, some of those restrictions just didn't allow me to go that route. But with Twitch, I knew that there was more than just a gaming platform. Although I was learning the makers and crafting space, I knew there was an art space, or a creative category, as they call it, with a bunch of things. Twitch for me was always a sense of like, these are your neighbors. I often call Twitch everyone has a backyard party, and sometimes we're raiding into each other's backyard parties together, or some people are on the fence between backyards, checking all of them and just kind of being, you know, the observers, or the people hanging out. They don't have to say anything. They're just enjoying the vibe. And it's really like a bunch of tailgates, you know, in a backyard party. And that's what we do, right? Like we're introducing ourselves to audiences and members and other creators. And it's a co-opetition, if you will. We're totally in this together, as much as it's a different channel in the viewership. It felt so much more connected. Absolutely. To be able to share a space with so much talent. I wouldn't know a tenth of it, if a fifth of it, whatever, if I just starting learning who people even were. And you know how these things go. People come and go on platforms. The scene changes. So just showing up, you know, and we'll get into it more. But yeah, it was really, I knew that the people who had followed over were some of the loyalists from Facebook groups or what have you. And it just felt right. Something in my heart told me that this is the way, this is the right call to make. You know, in a live, I do really better sort of in a live environment than some may say, like, hit the record button. But yeah, I think it's a different type of approach. So it just felt so good because I had history there too. I seen broadcasters at the time, the ebb and flow, and kind of how people run their shows and whatnot. So yeah. It's just follow your heart, man.
Yeah. And so for you, it felt right. It felt like you had a home. I really appreciate the connection to hanging out with your neighbors, or just getting to know people that are in the same area as you. I don't feel like you can do that, like you acknowledged, on other platforms. You know, YouTube is huge and they're trying to get better about live broadcasting, but certainly even back then in the 2021 era, it was far more difficult to get started streaming on that place. And it was really interesting that Facebook was floated as a place for you, since you were on there as well. And I mean, it's Twitch to me, and maybe it's because you and I both have found it at that time where it was exploding, because I feel like that was kind of the era back in that StarCraft era.
Oh yeah,
that was like when it really like exploded and kind of started to become a thing. Those were classic Twitch moments, in my opinion, where you started hearing the bleed purple phrase, and just it was a really great place to start in terms of community. What about Twitch do you think, especially at the time when you were getting started, made it really rough for you in terms of what were the most challenging things getting started on Twitch?
So it's a great question. I think before you hit any go live button, people instantly jump to the technical requirements, the who are people, or where, how do I establish my presence and my who are you, right? And reaching out. But I had a few different challenges within mine. I'll share a bit of a impactful story. I know you found out about this last year when we were doing the Stand Up to Cancer collab with the builders. When I started on Twitch, it wasn't even just figuring it out. I had one camera, USB, no microphone, and I turned it down at my desk. I had nothing else hardware wise. So let's not pretend that I had anything fancy or high investment in what we had. In fact, my computer would tell you, you probably shouldn't be hitting that go live button. You're pushing us over here to the max. There's no shot this is going to work, but good luck to you. We'll do our best here, says the computer. But I also, at the time, I had a cancer scare hit me. At the time, polyps had shown up. And I thought my journey was almost over just as it was starting. And here I was thinking, well, if this is going to happen, it's going to take away so much from me. And it's the end before it started, But thankfully, because of science and medical and doctors and checkups and things, and feeling, like I had access to really great healthcare and tools to find that, it ended up just being a scare. We were able to handle it and kind of mitigate that, but continue my journey. And as much as I started on the what am I doing, I have my first 20 weeks figured out. If we do continue, I really have to take care of my health as much as I'm starting. So better to just stop now before I really go too far down the rabbit hole and start to really put my feelers out there. But it was a reminder too, about how I grew up and my family's health. My dad didn't have the best health. So my own health was coming up, as much as I was like, the internet won't slow down for you just because you need it to.
Right.
You have to keep going forward in your own life and pursue. So I just showed up and just kept going with it, despite all odds. I was very, very fortunate. And it felt right because Twitch gave me an opportunity to put myself out there without having the same toxicity at scale in those groups like Facebook, where there's hundreds of thousands of people looking at your stuff, as much as you have greater access in ways being, on that platform and groups that aren't mine.
Yeah.
It gave me a direction and a path. I wanted to do impact over income. That was my headline in my head, was just to create impact, whether financially for charity, creativity within myself, and to inspire others within things that they were doing or things they hadn't tapped into, to feel vulnerable. Because I think you should seek discomfort daily in your life to really feel like you're making an impact on yourself and not getting too comfortable, because things can happen at any time. And that was my start. It was almost a really, some content creators may have bumps in the road. I felt like I was off-roading.
Yeah. And I gotta say that's pretty incredible to be up against a lot of things, right? A major health scare. Yeah. Trying to figure out how to navigate just even that alone. But then you're already just starting this whole journey, trying to figure it all out. And then not to mention just the usual challenges of being a creator on Twitch when gaming isn't the focus, right? So there's all these things that all kind of pile up, and then it becomes a wow. Where do I start? How do I deal with this? But you kept showing up, and I feel like that's really remarkable, right? Like that's usually just the solution, right? You just show up and you keep doing it stream by stream.
Keep going.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think it's important for people to remember that, just showing up is the start, right?
Yeah, absolutely. With everything you've done now up until this point, and let's say, you have all this knowledge, but you had to start over. What would you do? Like, knowing that what you know now, how would you start fresh if you had to do that?
I've thought about this before. I'm like, what would I have done different? Or if I had to take an extended break and denounce things and then come back, what would that look like?
Right.
And the truth is, I would have told my former self that it is okay to feel vulnerable in a space that I am in a sense a minority. Like a makers and crafting, for example, isn't very male heavy because there's not a lot of male cross stitchers or crocheters or fiber artists. There are a few of us since I've started back in as the pandemic streamers, we'll call it. But I think I would have told myself to keep focusing on creating impact and don't worry about the small things and the details. Because I worked in project management, I was always trying to think of absolutely everything at every angle, every point. And maybe that added a lot of stress and layers to me that had caused more challenges within myself. We are our best and worst critics, but when you keep striving for perfection or perfectionism, and you try to think about it all, you're going to get lost in the sauce and the devil's in the details. But it's okay to not burn yourself out. I felt like early days I was managing my job, my family, my health, my life, but I was pouring so much time into things that maybe no one would even notice or think about in the background, like the amount of work that goes into things behind the scenes, the mind the man behind the curtain moment.
Right.
And I really... I kind of didn't really plan much ahead at the time, as much as I was planning ahead and trying to figure myself out. I felt like I was busy with a stitch along and 20 releases, all these colors people and emails. And, you know, it was, I didn't give myself enough time to just pause and reflect as much as I thought I was. And I think now looking back, taking that time, even if it took longer on my growth curve or what have you, it would have been worth it for my own sake. As much as you're supposed to go and keep hustling, keep going through, keep creating, do more and take it on. Like that's very much my life. But early days, don't stress yourself about that stuff. You'll figure it out. It'll happen and you'll learn as you go instead of trying to learn all of it up front as much as you can, for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And I think those of us who really, when we start this sort of thing, we all want to do it all, right? And I think particularly when we have had no experience, because it's such a unique thing going live on Twitch or wherever you go live, it's so unique in that there's so many things to take into consideration. We want to do it all and then we get lost in it. And when it comes right down to it, it's really about just, take it one stream at a time, note what you got to do, figure out how to improve it. It's all incremental improvements. It doesn't have to be everything handled right away. Because I think, I'm talking to a newer streamer, D&M Bricks here on Twitch, and they're a couple. They're a couple who builds Lego on their stream, and I'm talking to Dan, the D in D&M. Dan is just like us, who were very gung ho, and I'm really stoked for him and his wife Mariah, that they're really just excited to jump right in. But like you and like me, he's like, how do I do this? I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, yeah, let's do it all, man. But we don't have I was like, do you? And he'll be like, how do I do this? And he'll be messaging me. I'm like, yeah, great. Like, do we have to do it all tomorrow? Like, I'll stay up with you and help you set all this stuff up. But do you want all of these things? It's all good, dude. Like, and it goes back to your point of like, we don't have to. We can. If you have the basics in place, it's all that really matters, right? Because at the end of the day, all the other stuff is great, but when you're new, you're already overloaded with all this stuff to do and learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, affiliates who hit it now realize the work ahead of them in the details, in your panels, your channels, your content, your community building efforts, your networking. Like, don't worry, it'll hit you soon enough.
Yeah, there's plenty to do. Yeah,
your to-do list, you don't even know, you're going to figure it out real quick. It'll hit you faster than you know. And don't stress. It hit all of us, and it still continues to do that.
Yeah, you talk to a lot of people about content and content creation as well. Just like what we do here on this show and what I do on my
Yeah.
own stream. Uh, what do you end up saying the most? It sounds like take your time. You know, you'll learn what you need to focus on. But is there one question or one thing that people always ask you, and what's your answer?
Yeah, I think when we think about the content creation journey, you know, although you've got the fuel for what you want to do and your path ahead and the drive, the will, the passion, the spirit, the soul, there's always going to be the moments of it's a live environment, the communities are at large, all eyes are on you, and things are at stake. And sometimes the higher the mountain climb, the harder the wind blows with people, whether they try to knock you down or there's envy or jealousy or what have you. And I think keeping a positive focus on what you do and not getting lost in the sauce with not just the details, but some of the things that you encounter on the platform at large, finding your niche and where you can create your greatest impact within yourself. Whether that's you're a gamer and you have a personality, or you're an artist and you're trying to put your work out there. Oftentimes, I think the artists and makers and some of the creatives, they're really good at what they do, but then the followings are tough to establish. Whether, you know, Twitch will tell you where you need to be. It's tough because it's the viewership. The viewers are the people. There's no surefire, this is the way to boost your self overnight success. People are watching you, right? They're looking for entertainment. They're looking for fun, interactivity, an escape from the everyday. And I think I tell those people that it's okay to remember that their time is important just like yours, but finding the way to create impact, get your message, get your content out there, and always be willing to learn. I mentioned about being vulnerable. I think the second you get too comfortable with things, I don't want to say stale or bland, it becomes the more repetitive it can feel. Finding ways to expand within yourself is so key, and I think that's the point. Seek new things, try it. I was a one-trick pony, cross stitching for 20 weeks, and at some point I said, what the hell am I doing after this? What's next? I think, you know, do more stitching. Do we, you know, expand? And what cross stitch design? Yeah, I can do that. Does anyone even do that? No one's doing cross stitch design. Maybe no one cares.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do it because I love designing patterns, and maybe other cross stitchers will have questions and want to learn.
Yeah,
go with it.
That's incredible. You lasted 20 weeks before asking that. I was so dumb. I went a good year just doing the same things.
Sure.
I got known for playing a game called Oxygen Not Included, and I streamed that for like a year. And it really made me reflect on, is this what I want to do? No. Like, not forever and only this one thing. I mean, compare where I am at now compared to then. It's very different. It's incredible that you realized that when you said, okay, yeah, it's been 20 weeks. What else do we do? What else is next? How did you decide on what to do?
You know, in the space that we're in, you get exposed quickly to so many different mediums, whether you're in the fiber traditional spaces, the, you know, Lego brick builders. I think the first thing I started to do beyond choosing an actual medium was to network. I wanted to meet other creators and see what they were doing, their channels, their fun, their personalities. You know, I'm the new kid on the block. So how do I get my feelers out there? And I've always been good at pulling groups of people together, and whether in leadership roles or community events, charity events, volunteer work, there's so many different ways I've had examples of that. But I knew when it came to what I was actually doing on stream that I was always going to be a cross stitcher at heart. I mean, I've been doing it since I was age 9 and designing since age 11.
Right.
And what else is out there? And really it became all the things I can tap into within myself that I've never done before or never had exposure to, like, for example, crochet. Within the first few months, crochet was my next sort of my baby. It was June of 2021. So I started March and June. We're already expanding into crochet. And but I wanted it to take a different approach. I wanted to share my vulnerability with people. I didn't necessarily have to learn offline to be the most polished crocheter out there. I realized that people love sharing their knowledge and education just as I did in what we were doing. But having collabs with people or learning on the fly or asking questions and watching people have that shared moment with me on my journey and growth and feeling vulnerable and exposing myself out there to be able to do that and putting a, who cares that I made a mistake or God, that looks derpy, much like me. How do I do better and get him better, improve within what I'm doing?
Right.
And I just kind of said, you know what? That's the next thing. We're going to crochet. There's always nerdy things I can make. That was my focus, was always nerdy stuff. It wasn't just games we played or grew up with.
Yeah.
It was let's make cool art with those characters and universes. And then crochet was just a natural follow-up to it, beyond diamond painting I got into and needle felting, Lego. I always was meeting Lego folks on the platform.
Yeah.
God, I'm like, God, I haven't done that in like 25, 30 years. Like, God, it'd be cool to build a Lego set and the Lego Bowser and the castle and the Mario theme stuff. I'm like, this is perfect for me. Holy cow. We live in what kind of day is this, an age where we have access to these brands now in this medium. So I think it was always just networking with people, seeing what they were doing and being like, God, I want to do something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Taking a tip the hat and a nod from others in the space. And I think my greatest goal, though, I will say this, at the time, I noticed silos. The cross-stitchers are into the cross-stitcher world and raiding into cross-stitchers. The Lego builders are in the Lego world, following Lego people and going to that because that's what they like. But how do we tear the walls down and blur the lines between the shared maker space that we were in before the categories and divisions of last year and other years prior? Because I really want to pull us together. Disparity in groups or differences of opinion. Some cross-stitchers didn't care about Lego. And some Lego people just were like, I have fat, chunky fingers. I can't crochet or cross-stitch. Barriers are fun, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to blur those lines and pull us together in a pool of so much talent. How do we just stop and realize we're all in this, we're all having fun, and find a common thread between us, without the pun intended, but really trying to find that light for all of us to come together and being my best self. I mean, my first 2 streams, I was PG-13. I didn't last long after that. We had to switch, baby. We had to switch.
I find that incredibly funny for you to note that you were PG-13 those first couple streams. Because, man, I know what you do. I know what you get into, man. That is incredible that you lasted 2 streams.
I made it.
Yeah, dude. That's really crazy. You talk about, networking and getting to know other creators to help you decide what you want to get into, and collaboration is pretty huge in what you do nowadays. Tell me about how you choose to collaborate. People, like what decisions drive who you're going to collaborate and what you do. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So for the record, for those who haven't, I've got the total. I am now over 110 collabs in some capacity, whether myself as hosting the events or joining others on their channels or group events and things like that. For me, it's that we're such a small group. You get to meet people pretty quickly. And I say small because the gamers on this platform are in the millions, and the fiber artists and artists on the platform or Lego folks aren't quite there and the same. But we have so much fun in this space. I think you inherently learn of other creators. You find personalities. You sort of put your feels like, wow, I would love to collab with you and whatnot. But it's a mix of how I choose. There's times where it's charity events and there's a group of us. So inherently it's, you're going to cross paths and work with other people in this space that There are times when it's a learning capacity about someone where there's something I'm new with, like Black Sheep Meat and I did diamond painting. She taught me something new versus a crochet collab I did. And other times I'm doing a guest appearance and doing Lego pixel art, where I get to put all these worlds together. But I find it's also a matter of the charity stuff I've done. It's a matter of what am I wanting to learn or teach on the space, and putting myself out there to find who even wants to give me a chance as much as I'm giving others a chance. Yeah. And really just there's been repeat guests and things I've had, but it's really been like finding the talent and highlighting those people and elevating them. But the truth is, I had already been kind of doing that with the show and tell segments where we stop at the end of stream, midstream, or showcase what others are working on. You know, you get rated and you're showing something on stream that they worked on, or you're having a post sort of creating moment and giving everyone a chance to share their work.
Yeah.
And help highlight those people. So guests for me have been a space of where can we have fun? Where can we create impact? Who's out there? It's never, these are the things I don't look for. It's more, here are the types of people I just want to find and elevate and bring together on the space and showcase them, because you learn really quick with that co-opetition that you're best to really work with everyone in the space to make it yourself. As much as people say, don't self-promo and don't post links in the chat, I'm like, my moderation team will find that you're a streamer and you just got here and said hello. We'll sniff you out before you even think about saying, well, I'm a streamer too, because we caught it. We'll let you know we see you. You are visible in the space of so many creators. So just give people a chance. I think collaboration should be a part of anyone's content in what you're comfortable with doing. But there's so much fun to just have those moments and pull people together. I love that for sure.
Yeah, that's incredible that you've had over 110 collaborations. That's amazing. I that blows my mind. That's huge and incredible, actually. So
yeah, I mean, you're at 90-ish, right? And well, you've also appeared. You're probably about the same as me.
Yeah,
if I'm being
probably.
Honest, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably.
Yeah. This is episode 90 of the show. So I've lost track. I'm gonna say I don't even know how many collaborations I've done outside of this. This gives me a nice number in terms of the show because I know how many episodes there are. But yeah, there's a bunch more. And I love showcasing people too. That's why I do this podcast, because I think it's just incredible that we all have our story. We all we all approach things and have come from different places differently, and it's really cool to hear and see what others have gotten into and what they're up to and how just their perspective differs from our own. And I completely am in the same like headspace about it as you, that there's just so much to see and share and get to know about like everyone else that's on this platform. I could feasibly be doing this show until I am gone, until I'm dead, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just so many.
The day you're gone, yeah.
I could be here doing this, and like you, I firmly just love that there's so many others that can talk about what they do and love and what they love, right? And so it's really cool seeing your channel at any given time. I know I can like tune in, see you with someone completely new, whether I've seen the name before but never seen them on screen with you, or whether it is someone I'm very familiar with in a totally different context outside of your stream, and they happen to be on there. That's happened too, where I'm like, oh wow, totally didn't know they were going to be on Pix's stream. That's really cool. And that said, like, is there any particular moments in your collaborations that stand out? I'm not trying to make you single out any one person or say they're any better, but any standout collaborations for you over the years that you really just think about?
I think it's a great question, without singling, of course, because there's a lot of moments. But I think for me, the most memorable ones kind of hit when you're doing something where I kind of started back to my roots with charity work when I started.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the memorable ones come from being able to work with other creators when it's not about the channels, the viewership, the things that we do on our own. It's when we let down any invisible lines or borders between us because we're joining arms linked for the same common ground and cause. And I think one of the strongest and most impactful moments for me was one of my charity collabs I did earlier for the International Association for Suicide Prevention. And I call that out because it wasn't children who are sick in hospital like I had been doing, or cancer research or whatnot. It was about a heavy topic. It was something that, you know, a lot of creators stepped forward to do. We had a raid train event over the course of a weekend, so 3 to 5 hours per person, and some had, you know, slots on their schedule. But it allowed me to feel so vulnerable that it took me 2 weeks of prep time to share my own story, or to share more about the conversation around the topic or the charity that we were raising for. And we had all of these creators putting their emotions out there, wearing them on their faces, their hearts and their souls, to help with something so tough and so difficult. And those, of course, that we may have lost of the past to such a cause, or a thing without that cause's help. So I would say that kind of stuff really hits home for me, where I feel most vulnerable because it hits home for me. Not just that particular organization, but charity causes at large are so near and dear to me. We had a little boy recently for Starlight donate his $20 allowance to our cause through his mom. Wow. Because his brother uses Starlight services and he's not well. He's in a wheelchair bound and he's got many health issues. But when that boy donated his allowance to your cause to help make a difference, it gives me chills to think about the reach and the power of creating opportunity for others. And when you scale that across multiple creators doing it in their own individual time slots, segments across the categories we have and platforms, that right there is no greater feeling than to feel like we are all in this truly together. Not just because we say that, but because we have the same common goal, mission, theme, to put ourselves out there and to normalize conversations and to have them. And people shared their stories, and we were on high alert for any kind of opinions or offering counseling on topics and stuff that were difficult. Just normalizing the conversation, offering a safe space for people to talk about their own experiences beyond raising dollars for the cause. And those are the memorable moments for me, because you feel it so much harder and deeper on your impact in your heart than to just, you know, creating within creativity impact and whatnot, because that's important. But I feel like the vulnerability is the difference maker in what creators are willing to do to really show they are behind this cause. They stand for this. They stand up together, arms and linked, and really making an impact. That feeling, I got chills right now just thinking about that, because it means so much to me, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, man. I'm getting a little misty-eyed myself.
I know. Like,
that's why I'm hiding my camera right now.
Exactly.
But that's incredible, dude. I think that there's nothing more powerful than like the work that we can do as creators in like the charity space, doing things for people. I know you're a major Starlight fundraiser. You've done work with us on Stand Up to Cancer, which is, I think, how you and I really, connected and bonded.
Totally.
What kind of perspective do you have for people who want to get into charity? What kind of things would you tell people who've never done it before, and why they should, or how they should tackle it or consider it?
Yeah, and you know, it's a great question, because I've seen creators wanting to do a world of good, but also fearing their viewership, their numbers, the size of their channel, or how to get into it. It starts with the basics. What causes are near and dear to your heart? And if you're not sure, or if you are sure, doing your homework, right? Like charity watchdogs, making sure that you're holding accountability to these not-for-profits and these charity organizations. And I mean, I've raised for so many different kinds of ones because there's so many. I couldn't just pick one, although you have to start somewhere. Finding one that really resonates with you and their mission. It could be local, it could be global. Maybe it's North America first, or maybe it's America first, or whatever you're from. Finding that maybe there's something globally going on in the world where you feel like you could chip in your time and effort, and throwing your hat in the ring, as it were.
Right.
But I think it starts with a good place of the what. When it comes to the actual charity stuff, we have so many amazing tools that integrate with Twitch for raising money, whether you're doing Tiltify integrations or you're doing t-shirt campaigns in addition to that, or charity auctions. There's so much that you can cover. And it's funny, I have an episode I'm going to be working on with Camp Chaos, Art and Jest holds every year, talking about this very thing, setting up charity, campaigns and how to go about that. Because there's a lot of stuff in there, but there's a way to break it down.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, being prepared is a big part about it, but also putting the word out there. Oftentimes creators are so good at what they do, but they will tell you, oh, I suck at promoting myself, or I suck at this, or, well, that's the opportunity. Yeah. You can tell me that you're busy. Well, we all are. What's the next? I'm scared. Well, then do it scared. I have anxiety. Well, then do it with anxiety. Every argument that has against a barrier going up has the counter barrier to bring it back down to the whole. We're not saying don't do it scared, stop being scared or stop anxiety, because that's not going to happen. Yeah. We're saying to embrace it and run with that, because you got to just start somewhere. Otherwise, don't do it. Put your barriers up. You're good at that already.
Right.
How do we reverse that, though, and really tear those walls down as soon as they went up? Let's tap into that and really putting them in the right headspace. Charity teams, another great start for folks where you want to do it, but the power of many together, like the Stand Up to Cancer Builders, of course, fantastic impact across so many creators. Yeah. It can feel less alone as an individual when you're a part of a wider group that's done this before, and you've got some veterans and some newbies in the mix, and everyone's leaning on each other. That is so helpful. Yeah. I think it's one of the greatest tools we have is collaboration in the charity space with other groups. And joining the charity discords and groups, ask questions. There's no harm in any of that. Get input, seek feedback, put the word out there. Market yourself, because you're marketing the cause and doing something. There's more real and honest about putting the charity at the forefront than trying to think you have to be the shining star to make it happen. Let your anxieties subside just a little bit and try to work within what you do. And also pay attention to what others are doing. What do you like? What do you not like? What would you do better? What would you change? Yeah. And finding how to better plan a campaign. And of course, plan. Yes, I said it. Plan the campaign. Poke holes. What if someone dropped $100? What if they dropped $500? What if they dropped 50 or 20? What happens? What's the effect? Not that there has to be something, but always be prepared with when you incentivize. Don't burn your bridges and yourself. I've found charity burnout because I'm like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this. And I'm like, I am spending 3-4 months catching up. Holy shit. Like, I need to not do that again. And find a way to say, I can't participate if you're already overloaded. Don't feel like you need to take on everything that everyone did. My first 2 years, I agreed to everything charity people did. And I just was oh my God, I'm a full-time charity streamer now is what I am. Like, it's not what I initially set out to do.
It gets tough, especially if you get a lot of traction and you start getting quite involved with everything that you see and get, connected to. It can become overwhelming. So I like that advice too. It's okay. You don't have to say yes to everything that comes across your desk, because it then becomes, oh no, like what have I agreed? I've done the same thing. I think there was a year where I agreed to help with so many charities that it felt, for sure, it was back to back to back. over,
Yeah.
several months. And I loved doing it, but man, it takes a lot out of you. It
Yeah.
can make your community also just feel like you're going nonstop too. And so, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's great perspective that you bring there when it comes to like,
Yeah. And people will know, right? When you're doing too much, they feel the burnout. I think just listening to them, wow, like this is a lot. Like, and then people stop talking or showing up because they're so burnt out from charity or they can't donate. They feel guilty. Like there's a bunch of other emotional layers to unpack when you go and do too much. We all have big hearts, but not everyone has big wallets
yeah,
and wants to feel like they can just be there to enjoy and have fun. So figuring out that ebb and flow of when to space your content and then insert charity campaigns,
yeah,
whether one a year or multiple, that's for you to figure out. But that's because you're closest to your community.
yeah,
And as much as I walk in with a plan, I can quickly be derailed and okay, I was not prepared for this. What just happened? Like, oh
yeah,
my God. Don't think you're always prepared because the unexpected will always happen without doubt. So I
yeah,
think just go for it. Hit the button with a plan and all else will go in there. So I think that's the best advice I could offer.
yeah. Fantastic perspective on charity and uh, everything involved with it. We could do a whole episode and talk on that.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah.
You mentioned impact. I think impact is huge from everything we've talked about so far. Tell me about your goal, how your impact plays into it. What do you hope to achieve as Pick Stitch?
It's a great brand. So I in my head, Pick Stitch was always founded as sort of a creative endeavor to started as cross stitch patterns, but then quickly evolved into making the greatest impact within arts and makers spaces with charity, because that was where I found my strengths.
Yeah.
And the journey for me became, where do I want to expand my reach to? Because the ultimate goal or dream is to always create impact in different capacities, whether I'm doing educational format content and recordings that I'll be planning to do for YouTube. Not to how to crochet isn't already out there. It's more my own personality, my flair, my view on the best way to get through to people. And when you see children taking your pieces and cross stitching for the first time, or little boys with motor skill issues, or little girls who have doubts about themselves or the subject matter, when you know that you've connected with them through art, you realize quickly, like, how can I create more impact? And my goal long term is to start my own not-for-profit organization connecting the children who are underprivileged or group homes or troubled youth who've gotten in some bit of trouble from their situations, but to take the technology devices of today and shut them off, turn on that other part of your brain, find the creativity within yourself and go with it. Find the thing that works. No different than a kid getting into sports and starting to connect. Those who are in the crafting world have so much supplies and stash and things that they may never use in a lifetime. But what if we could connect a kid who doesn't have anything with some of that stuff? What if we could connect groups of kids at workshops or sessions, or pulling their parents into their world to help inspire their own children, or connecting them with supplies to underprivileged situations, and really just trying to make more impact, whether we're at schools, whether we're in auditoriums or conventions or kid cons, if you will, to try to pull folks into that. Maybe we're virtual. We have so many tools to do today in digital endeavors. And where can we spread education and go from there? And that's really my mission, is my path of expansion within what I do today, reaching new audiences and platforms to create the greatest impact on and off a platform and in communities all over the globe. And really taking that as, it's not just me doing this on my own, but networking with others who have similar values, mindsets, goals and motivations, aspirations to want to push themselves, and going from there. So I think that's my longer term focus, is putting the framework in foundation to eventually expand within those spaces and finding what works and finding what works better. for me, and trying to make sure that I'm doing the right thing and holding myself accountable and honest and maintaining my integrity as a creator, because I know that you can listen to me, love it or hate it, but my heart is always in it.
Right.
Right. I'm not here to impress everyone. I'm here to really push myself and others. When you see a man who hasn't touched a craft since he was 10 or 12 years old, and his grandfather taught him woodworking, whittling, and you want to tap into that and really get him into it, just picking up a few things and going for it, like that right there, is just so nice to tap into people, bring back the kid that you once were, and realize there are kids today we can help support because you were there for them, despite maybe not having anyone there for you, or very few at the time. There's a wholesome story to tell, and everyone's in it. Let's paint those chapters together, and really put it out into the universe. Definitely.
That's a wonderful goal. That's a wonderful thing you hope to achieve with your channel and your brand and your community.
Mm-hmm.
How has that evolved over the years since you started? How did you arrive at this long-term goal?
It's a great question, because it wasn't initial. I mean, it started as me as a kid. When I talked a bit about that piece that I shared, it birthed from me at 11 years old, coloring pixels on graph paper instead of math homework. I mean, I totally did math homework. But taking that kid in me and realizing the reason I do the nerdy fandoms and themes is just because that's my subject matter I love. You can love what you love, but there's a common thread and a tie there amongst those kinds of people who are gamers and crafters, and tie them together. But that same thought and mentality of me as a kid is my driving force today, all these years later, as a grown adult, maybe in mind and body, but not age. And just kidding, totally in age and not mind and body. But the point is realizing that there's a way to inspire others, and their kids are the future. I see the eyes of children in their eyes, and their light of them and what they bring to the table all the time. I was featured recently with Starlight talking a bit about my story and how I've been involved in community since I was a kid, volunteer work with my time or through music and arts, and really trying to put it out there. So the volunteer and the not-for-profit I've been exposed to my whole life. And I know that it would be great to be able to start something where I can pull those people together to help children, to help them. I may not be a dad, and that dream has gone far long because of my own situation, and things change, but that doesn't mean that I can't help lift up others, the kids of the future, who are our future leaders, who are our future community members and hard workers all over the globe. So I'd like to see that creativity stays more prevalent and constant in the minds and hearts of people than to just get stuck with the technology devices, the things that we already are so good at. A 2-year-old picking up a phone and understanding how to work a tablet, but hasn't really picked up a crayon or a paintbrush, or a puzzle or something fun to foster. Because I will tell you, boredom fosters creativity. And with how much hyper serving of things we have today, kids aren't generally as bored as they were years ago, but they're also maybe not as much as the imagination, the things that we shouldn't lose sight of. And I think that's important to me. That's the reason it came to me and arrived at wanting to do a not-for-profit. I'm not in this for income. I'm doing this because I care. I could go back to the 9-to-5 slog and work my 9-to-9 job, because it's never 9 to 5. It feels like 12-hour days. Or I could do something fun, creative, and inspire those minds of all ages. I was a male cross-stitcher, picked on, bullied, pestered because I was a boy cross-stitching an old lady craft, a women craft, oh, you're a sewer. How gay is that? Like, the things you hear, you start to believe as a kid. And I know that's not the case. I know that I can lift up regardless of gender, regardless of personal backgrounds, creeds, or experiences, and find a tie, because we're just creating art together.
Yeah.
And that feels good. So, it's always a love for the arts, the first to be cut in education systems, but the real dire need to keep creative minds alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And you recognize how important that is. And I see that too. I think as a father myself, I see
Of course.
that. I see that a lot of, it's not as heavily encouraged these days in the school systems.
Yep.
We try, my wife and I try very hard to make sure that they have creative outlets or they have things that they want to do.
Of course.
My oldest child loves to draw, and we've given them everything that they need and ask for when it comes to that. If there's ever a need, they're like, I want this. I want, we have a nice stack of sketchbooks for them, anytime they want to draw. And it's something that certainly needs to be encouraged. And you've identified that, like, with the youth today, it's like not as it's when we were kids, it was much more common, right? Where it felt like you, like, if someone wanted to do that stuff, it wasn't too hard to, like, get into it because schools encouraged it at the time. At least mine did.
They did.
And nowadays it's not as common, and it's unfortunate because you lose something, right? You lose something when it comes to not seeing people encouraged to just have that creative outlet. So I'm so glad that you do that, and you recognize it's incredibly, I think it's critical for a lot of what people need. So
never let go of that part of you that you may have lost years ago, or parked or put aside, or just didn't make time for, have enough of it to do. But watching people take that and run with it, there's no greater reward for me to see people sharing something that they just started and praising and lifting them up on a platform that I host or share with others, to really elevate the point that you can have impact over income and really have that moment that I've connected beyond just listening to people, being able to feel what they are going through, the good, the bad, the ups and downs, and having that moment of art will connect and tie us in some capacity, even as just a small little side thing of slice of life. And being able to do that, that's just, it's so much fun. I mean, pick where you choose to spend your time. You're really good at these things, but hey, could you carve out just a little bit to pull some creativity out into the world? You are capable.
What do you think makes a successful creator? You've collabed with so many people. You're in this space. You're deeply connected across Twitch and other platforms. What do you think makes a successful person at this?
I like to think about this. It's a great question. I think I have some of the key core values and principles that I kind of adhere to, being consistent with your schedule, your production value, whether you're a niche themed person or creator, a personality, a character, a type of person that's out there. I think being consistent, having, having your audio is one thing. More people listen than watch. So being sure to check that box. Don't worry about fancy technology and hardware, but being consistent is so key, because the more disparity you introduce into what you do, the more people just don't know what to expect, or they're not always following just because you put it out there. So having that, but developing a strong personal brand, just the same, being authentic, having that memorable style or moment or who you are, and whether your catchphrases or themes, or you're a theme within the brand, knowing that viewers return when they know when and what to expect of you, as much as that they can also expect the unexpected. But having that stuff checked off, and always be willing to improve what you do, your voice, your tone, your visuals, your humor that you are. If you're an actor or you are an act and that's your thing, that's fine. People will still see the genuineness of it, but always being yourself. Engagement with community. It doesn't just stop because you hit the stop button or rate it out. Interacting with your chat, your Discord, your communities, listening to your viewers, seeking input, networking in other groups of community members is huge. The amount of time I spend networking and being the goofball in chat or redeeming timeout me, and I'll be the first to take that hit because it's fun. Who cares? It's silly. But understanding the business, just the same. If you're going to do this, there is networking. There is not getting lost in the sauce of numbers, but understand that this is a business. And I think creators may do this for hobby. Fine. It's still a business at the end of the day, whether you acknowledge or put that at the front or not. But cross-platform presence is another obviously point of retention. It's very, very volatile space that we live in, where look what happened to TikTok recently, or the platforms of the past, or the Twitter revolution and migrating to Blue Sky. Like, things can happen at any point, but being aware and informed only makes better decisions. You have to be adaptable and innovate at any given time. Following your own trends can put you in lost in what you're due. So experiment, be vulnerable, try new things, trial and error. Don't worry about failure as much as you should worry about personal growth within what you do in your life. You know, staying up to date with platform changes in the administrative side is one thing, but having that adaptability and innovation, you know, following trends, but making your twist, or not a trend follower and a trend setter in new ways. But the things to avoid are, you know, burnout. Don't put so much out there because of your hours, your daily schedule. That classic example of take a pie chart of all the things that you spend your time on. That's you, your family, your kids, your life, your job, your career, your animals, whatever it is. And then figuring out, like, where does streaming fit into that? Because if it starts to consume more time than you're allowing elsewhere, the scales are tipped.
Yeah.
There's an imbalance and you will feel it. So don't have overemphasis on numbers and worrying about comparing with the analysis paralysis to others.
Yeah.
Worry about those other things that you can control and putting yourself out there. But, you know, don't worry about the toxic actors and players that are out there. We'll deal with them as a group of people together. You know, it's not any one given thing.
Mm-hmm.
Be your best selves as much as you can, and be okay with being uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough. I wouldn't be doing what I did today if I worried about being comfortable with it all. I'm okay to be the 18 plus sassy streamer where I can throw people off because that's just who I am. And that in turn encourages them to be their best selves and more comfortable, and the vibe check, because I'm okay to be vulnerable. I'm okay to take pot shots and have them thrown right back and be fun with the community. They see that. And that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not here to hide it. My emotions are worn here on my face, not just on my sleeve or, you know, whatever on my wrist. So being okay with that.
No,
Yes.
I agree. I agree with you completely. I think it's really about maintaining a good balance, being able to recognize how much time you're putting into it. And like you said, when you step out of bounds, it's very, very noticeable. So yeah,
for sure.
You talked a little bit about burnout, and I really want to just touch on that. Tell me about burnout. Tell me about, like, your perspective on it. Have you dealt with it? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, I think burnout comes in different ways. Using the charity example is because I was taking on, you know, is one thing, is taking on too much.
Yeah.
As much as you mean well or have good intent, you're going to reach a point of your capacity. Using the pie chart example of where your time goes, the imbalances happen all over, and burnout's real because of things outside of content creation. It's life, you know, dealing with the passing of my father, or my mom's in hospital, or my dog is, you know, going through his own health, and we're not getting any younger. But if you don't have your health, what do you have? So there's prioritization within the pieces there. You know, people who take breaks are needed or necessary, or taking time off as much as we want to be consistent, you know, and being comfortable and honest with what we're sharing. Burnout is real. I think there comes a point when it's a better plan. What is the ability of what you're capable to do with the time that you have available to you? Whether you're 1, 2, 3, 4 on, 3 off a stream, whatever you do in a week. Being able to plan, look at the macro view. I think people get lost in the micro view and they forget about the macro perspective. When I look at next year, I say to myself, what are the key dates of things that will never change? My affiliate-versary, my stream-versary, my partner-versary, whatever, my birthday, like things that are always a constant, or holiday-themed stuff that I'm keen on doing for charity.
Yeah.
The 12 days of Starlight or Mario Day coincides with my when I hit the button day. There's that. But looking at your channel and planning out your ebb and flow just from a high level and understanding, are there things you want to learn? Are there things you haven't done or projects you want to pick up back again that you've put aside, or ones you want to start? Whatever it is, finding a better plan to preempt yourself and setting goals is so key to help curb burnout. I think people often forget that as much as they mean well, they lose themselves in their lack of a plan. And this isn't to call people out. I know a few would be like, "Hey, I feel called out in that sentence. How dare you?" It's true though. Like,
Yeah.
you need to just write down a high level list of things and themes or months or things you want to try. Collaboration dates, things that are happening. Events will often be announced well in advance. That you can plan to prep for, to hit, and find that balance. Maybe there's new game releases and you're a gamer, so you have to plan that into your content and how many streams that will take, or what you think is there is a better start than having planned nothing or done nothing. I'll deal with it when it gets there. Well, then that's what you get out of it, right?
Right.
If your approach is your own, but have a macro view of your content to prevent burnout because you've planned for the goals that you're setting. I think every streamer after your first year, pausing to reflect on that year is just as critical as what you're doing, is to stop, breathe, and look back at what you did and having an honest moment. Look at your VODs, listen to yourself, look at what people say to you in chat and saying hellos, or how you rate into a channel and networking, all the things that go into what we do. There's got to be a moment of reflection. And if you're not giving yourself that time, you are bound to burn out, because you didn't stop to celebrate the things that you already did. You didn't give yourself that special moment of time to really be like, this is my motivation, reflection, inspiration to figure out the next step.
Yeah.
To really push myself in new directions and avenues and still maintain my sanity and not burning out as a result. But
right.
Handling burnout is sometimes just breathing, taking a moment off, and go touch grass. Like, literally.
I agree.
Go clear your mind. Find a moment that works outside of the digital age we live in to disconnect and unplug before we plug ourselves back in again, for sure. And, finding people to be able to talk to and share their own experiences, and just having those moments. Take a moment to look at yourself and check yourself before you go on to the next part in the next chapter.
Absolutely. Yeah, you speak the truth in so many ways there, because it's really, really tough sometimes, especially when you're focused on a goal, when you're focused on growing or just trying to maintain that consistency. You then find that you're doing maybe too much, or that you've not had a break. And so it can wear on you. And you said this about charity burnout specifically earlier, but like greater burnout, people notice, right? People see it.
Oh, yeah.
People pick up when you are maybe going too hard, or you've done a lot and you haven't taken a break, or you're not taking the time. And I agree with you. You need to sometimes you just need to like disconnect. You need to whatever that looks like for you, right? And some of us do it in different ways. Sometimes it's just you're not going to see me for a week. See you all soon. Or it could be very much, hey, I'm just taking one day off. I think it's really about recognizing when you even start to feel like it's too much, right?
Yeah. Even for me, some of my outlets for dealing with burnout are my creative outlets. The very things I do on stream and content, you'd think you're getting away from it, but it's like, no. This is a me piece. This is for me. Two thumbs, and who does that? That's this guy's. I'm working on that for myself, because creators don't spend enough time on themselves sometimes, as much as they may think they are. And that's the whole point. Do something for yourself. I don't care if you go for an ice cream, pet puppies, touch grass, or create something for you.
Yeah.
Do that.
And that's so huge. And you make such a good point about that, when a lot of us are doing the thing we love as part of our content, right? So if it's like making, crafting, Lego, or like video games. You're
Yeah.
making content out of that, but then you're also getting burnt out because you're making content all the time. So it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, like you said, there needs to be a time and place where you say, this is for me. This is, no one needs to see this. No one needs, like, the only thing that matters is that I'm enjoying the thing that I'm doing and it can stay with me. And I do that with Lego. I do that with games. This is all just, I will build sets off stream.
Sure.
I'll look at it. I'll enjoy it. I'll take my time with it. And then when it's done, I'll sit there and look at it. It's like, oh, that was great. And then sometimes that compulsion of like, man, I should take a picture. But it's like, no, this was
Yeah.
for me and I'm going to enjoy it. And no one needs to know that I built this really cool, like, Star Wars ship. It's fine. Great.
Yep.
And I think a lot of us get lost in that. We forget. And so, yeah, take that time. I think I held.
It's okay to be selfish.
Yeah, it's okay to be selfish. I think I held Bricks O'Brien on this a long time ago once. It's like, but do you do this for yourself? And he was kind of like, I should do that. I'm like, yes, please do.
Yeah.
And it's just important. It's important. So however that looks like though, for those of you out there.
It's true. Very true.
It's incredible. We're going to go from one topic of burnout to a topic that may be associated with it. But tell me more about your partner ascension, because I feel like you talk about looking at stats, looking at views, trying to figure that out. But you are a Twitch partner. So let's kind of get into it, because I'm in the middle of that journey as well. But not to,
yes.
So I'm going to spend time asking, tell me about your partner journey. How did that all happen?
Great. It's a great question. You know, it's an honor and a privilege. And also I can't wish you the best of luck and send more positive vibes to this journey and push for you. Those who have achieved it know exactly the kinds of things, although everyone's different. We understand and appreciate what goes into it. So I want to pause and say, keep pushing. You work so hard. You work so incredibly hard. If anyone from my community, whether in Lurk or not, I will say it again, please support more and more, not just because I'm here, but I do believe in what this man does. He works his ass off, if I can be short on that. But for my journey, when I started, my journey was to just network and find people to network with, to create, to do collabs and fun events and charity and impact, all the things we've talked about. But the partner itself, I ignored people. I didn't think about it. I had unsubscribed for the emails that tell you what you did each stream.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at any of it. Numbers were turned off. I think I have my moderators tell me when we're close to another 1,000 or something, because I don't even know where I'm at right now. I don't pay attention to it, but they keep an eye on so that we can like, oh shit, we can celebrate another milestone or something, right? Every moment matters. So I ignored it. People were pushing me, push for partner, picks for partner. They were hashtags in communities and chats. And I'm like, no, anxiety, stop. How dare, no, you, and like all of that. But I didn't really think about it. I listened, but I didn't really listen. I didn't know where I was at to even think I had a chance, if I'm being honest, because I literally unplugged that much from the point. And when I kept hearing it, it must have gone for about a year and a half. And I'm, again, 4-year journey here so far. More years to come, I hope. But I said to myself, is it even possible? Should I bother? What's the point? What's the benefit to this? Is it just a purple shiny badge, or, what about it? But I realized quickly, like, if I'm creating impact and I'm meeting people and networking, then the benefit isn't just having a shiny icon beside your name and saying this is a check mark of a 0.5 or 6 whatever percent of us are partners on the millions on this platform. It's that I can then take that opportunity to create other opportunities for others, whether we're partnering with brands, which is still on my radar to do. It's tougher as a Canadian because there's America-only programs for the brands we love and use, but we're breaking barriers, we're working through. But at the same time, it allows me to elevate others. It allows me to lift up others. There's a sign of respect from other creators when your channel is full of other creators They could be doing anything else, busting their butts on their channels, and they're there with you. How do I lift them up in return? Whether that's the show and tell segments or through collabs, doing more of what I'm doing. The Twitch Artist and Maker Creator Club that you and I are both a part of. When I, with the founders talking with Twitch, they knew that I had a pulse to the ground because I was always advocating the space, and maybe people come and go and I'm one person of many, but using the platform to then elevate other creators was exactly the point of that push. So we did it. This is coming up 2 years as partner on Twitch in July. So next month will mark my 2 years as partner. July 30th was my official date, although the 24th of July was when I first got the approval. But it was to try to find and do more of what I was doing and elevate us to a mature business perspective for Twitch's sake. When you apply, they ask you one question. Tell us about yourself and your channel. And it's this one little box that feels like the most loaded question, because how you answer and respond is the point within your application. But knowing that there's a view on this platform beyond just what you love to do because I love doing it isn't enough. There has to be a wider perspective as to how you will treat this as a business, how you do plan to elevate the platform and the creators and things and spaces around you with ideas or innovative creativity and the things that you love so much. And that's the moment when I knew that I had to do this for the right reasons. My particular journey was that people were pushing me and I didn't listen, but then eventually I listened and said, all right, but I was transparent. Here's our average. Here's where we are. Leave a lurk, say hi, jump in. Like, if you really believe in me, then this is the right way to go. And if you don't, well, like I said earlier in the stream, Twitch will tell you where they want you to be. And it takes others longer than some, and some are, just blow up with growth and explosiveness. But be humble. Don't get lost in others' journey as you carve and pave your own. Finding a way to tap into this platform of opportunity and elevating yourself is the point. Others along for the ride with you, but I think being able to really look at what the journey ahead looks, if you were to be, is the point. Never get that, got the check mark. Whew. Okay, now we can take it easy. The work begins. What you already thought, it really begins now.
Absolutely.
There's even more to do. So don't let that catch you off guard. It's going to get busier because it should. You should never get too comfortable with your situation. Now there's more. Now there's more discomfort and uncomfortability. All eyes on you. Next. What's the next move? And I think that's the exciting part. I look around each corner of uncertainty with a point of excitement, engagement. The opportunities around the unknown excites me. I don't get afraid of it. I look forward to it. And what comes and what's ahead. As I diversify my reach, what I'm doing within brands or partnerships or companies, even some gaming ones of partnering with to talk more with their stuff, and keeping an honest approach, about never losing sight of where you started in your roots. Be true to yourself, as much as that may sound cliche. It is a driving force for what I do. I only know who the hell I am because that's who I am, but who else am I? What else can I tap into? How do I expand within my own mindset and heart? And find the right ways to do it, and lead with example is so key. Being leaders in the space. Someone told me the other day, hey, just sell stuff and put Nintendo's name on it. I'm like, I've done that. That's not the way. Like, no.
Wow.
Respect the brands you work with, not just because I can make money off it. That's exactly the point. Don't do that as your motivation. Do it because your heart's in it first, and do the right thing. People know when you're doing the wrong thing, and you will see that as a result. So it's we applied. It was a 8-week wait before I heard back on my application. They're much quicker turnarounds now for response, which is good. Their partner team has really been really fantastic. But it was a lot of anxiety, man. But being honest with the community, here's our numbers, here's where we are, here's the lay of the land. So And you'll have those burnout moments or fall off where it's people
Just kinda,
come and go in life and summer. It's there. What is the right time anymore? I don't know. It's the platform changes so frequently
it's hard to know,
viewership.
man. It's really hard because I thought about that. I thought that about that right now too, given the time of the year, how that might look. It's you never know. It's rough.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. But keeping a chin up and keeping going with it and finding ways to engage. Like I had people may not show up to my gaming streams, but we're still going to do a Mario Kart tournament. I don't care. I'm not sacrificing things to artificially inflate other things. I'm still doing the same things I love to do. I'm still pushing myself. And if that's not enough, then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that if it took longer or whatever. I applied. I poured my heart into my application, and it was 5 versions before I landed at where I ended up going with the submission. I had other partners reviewing my stuff to like poke holes or give their perspectives on things for those who had established, and trying to just keep networking, keep putting your name out there, keep trying to find new audiences in a world that we get so comfortable rating the people we already know or finding those communities. I will search a list of viewers for the lowest view and go say hi and remind a creator that they matter because there's no one else there with them. And I'm okay to take that time to do that versus, well, these 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 people I know, let's go there. That's my safety net. That's what I'm most comfortable with. But what if I gave a new person a chance? That impact helped create an opportunity for someone to keep going versus the unsung heroes that you'll never know who have left this platform because they never had a chance.
Yeah.
And we'll never know who they are because they're no longer here. They're elsewhere in life. And I think that's the moment where it's not like you're a hero saving people and here's my cape flapping in the wind. It's more that you're continuing to push to elevate the platform, to give people a chance. Never lose sight of that. The partners who rate only partners after they hit partner, that's your choice. I raid down. I'll raid into new people.
Yeah.
I'll show the love right back to those who helped make this possible for me, because that's how I think a leader should think.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking of yourself, start looking at others and how that helps you in the end. Always. Always.
I love that. I love everything about that. I appreciate your whole perspective on it. It's certainly a feat to accomplish when you get that, that partnership. And I really love what you said about thinking about what's next, right? Because you don't just end at partner, right?
Exactly.
Like the whole point is, what's the next thing? It's another step in growth. It's another opportunity for you to continue to do what you do at a higher level, right? And so, I appreciate your perspective on that. I know that, I'm in the thick of it right now, and it's incredibly, it requires a level of mental fortitude that I feel like is not talked about enough. And so being in the middle of it myself, I commend you and many of our partner friends that we all know. And man, it is a rough one, but it comes down to just persisting and doing it the way that makes you most comfortable. Not to get, like you said, not to get lost in your comfort, but to push yourself to also be uncomfortable, but doing it the way you want to do it, right? Doing it the way that you think is naturally you. And I saw that in your partner journey. I know personally speaking, that is how I am trying to do it, by doing all of the things that I know how to. And so, I appreciate you sharing that. And here you are,
being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's really what it comes down to, is just being okay with not being okay with the situation.
Exactly.
Because you're like, growth is crazy in terms of like trying to like focus on making those things happen while still staying true to yourself and making sure that you're taking care of yourself and maintaining balance, and all these other topics we've talked about all factor in together and touch each other in terms of like burnout, focus, being open with yourself and your community, and then when you have goals in front of you, being able to still be you, and kind of withstanding all the things that come with that. There's a lot of challenges, just even grow, like just trying to grow, not even like partnership aside. It's just trying to grow and build and make your community and content better, right? So
yeah, it's true. I'll share quickly. People come and go. When I hit my follower cap at 2,000 recently, because I'm following artists and makers and creators, I had to go through Commander Root to kind of clean up and see who wasn't there. Shockingly enough, since 2021, I had gone through my list. Over 700 people I followed, no longer creating, no longer streaming, no longer in communities that I've not even seen in years. And that's just me as one person going through my list of like, I need to make room. 700 of you are not here, or I don't know what happened. I hope you're okay, first and foremost. But it shows you how quickly things change in your journey, as many as you've crossed paths with, how many also step away and others step in. It's the OGs, the folks who are there, the regulars, the routine, the sometimers, whatever it is, it's all important. But things change so quickly. You've got to keep finding those opportunities. So just keep chasing it. Keep doing what you're doing. You work, like I said, you work so hard, and that hard work doesn't go unnoticed. And it's the polish and poise of what you put into, within addition to the heart and soul that you pour into it. You're doing it right. Don't let it burn you out, but also easier said than done. It's okay to feel like, oh man, week 6, week 7, like I know for sure. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, dude.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I'm sure I will look back on the whole thing and have my own stories to tell. But thank you for all the kind words.
Of course,
man, dude, it is a trip. I'll tell you that. Like from from the jump of me announcing it, it's been a journey. So, I appreciate it. I really do. Quickly, you brought up something that I wanted to mention is the Creator Club. And for those that don't know anything about the Creator Club, let's talk about it really quickly. Tell me about the Creator Club and your part in it.
Yeah. So Twitch last year decided that there's a lot of these other groups outside of gaming channels and whatnot that they have. There's artists and makers, VTubers, musicians, DJs, IRL streamers. There's all these groups of channels and categories of content beyond gaming. And if Twitch is truly committed to growing and elevating those spaces, whether niche or not, or establishing themselves, they're looking at what they do for content classifications, but how can we help? And it turns out that the creative side has been pushing for some time. Imperial, one of the co-founders with me for the Artist and Maker Club, has been asking for like 8-9 years when I talk with her for something for Twitch to be more involved in elevating. It isn't just posting on Twitter and socials or feeds or whatever. It's about pulling creators together. So the Creator Club idea was birthed where Twitch could take these groups of people who you may raid out to when you raid out to, or you're on when you're on as a viewer or what have you. But there's times that you will never meet people outside of that because of how we've got this global effect happening of creation. So what if we created these hubs of people or clubs where we pull creators for those types of things that they do and allow them to share a space? We could join 1,700 Discords, or we could pull 1,700 people into a Twitch-led initiative, just picking numbers here, but and allowing them to talk to each other, to network at all hours, 24/7, to share what they do, to look for collaboration, to network, to offer creators within their own partnered networks the opportunity to work with sponsored segments, hardware companies. The things that are happening at TwitchCon already are brands and companies that they are established with. They could host and sponsor or feature at events. You could have people come together for raid trains and events. And it also kind of coincides with like the guilds that they have, the Pride Guild, the Unity Guilds, and the Women's Guild, the Black Guild, the Latin Guild, all of that kind of stuff. It's Twitch is maturing in their mentality to understand that we can elevate people by pulling them together as better leaders. And we need help from those who are in those spaces to help us lead. And that's where the founders came in. So it started with DJs, the program, obviously DMCA, music, the hot topics. And then it kind of expanded and grew into artists, makers, VTubers, IRL, co-working, coding. You've got your musicians, DJs, whatnot, and having clubs for that, where people can go and network and do just that. And there's more, right? There's all of us together in a hub. And of course, is for those who may or may not know, more and more, one of our server moderators across all of it, seeing the whole macro view of everything going on within that space. But being able to pull creators from an officiated capacity on a platform that you created or hosted or purchased, whatever you, and share that back with people is exactly the point. And that's where the creator clubs come in. It's allowing you, and they just introduced food and drink, by the way, the latest club. These small groups and, maybe science and technology, start looking at all the other delineations we have. Hell, maybe there's an animal club. I don't know. Like aquariums and animals.
At this rate, we might get there, man. We just might.
You never know. But it's a great view on how to pull creators together. It's very clever. I'm proud of it because I know it's the right call for pulling people together in what can feel like a groups of disparity across the things we do and meeting those audiences. So that's they approached me. I talked with them. There was a bunch of us individually they approached. We had interviews with them, and they reached out with the opportunity to be a Twitch Artist and Maker Creator Club founder. I accepted with honor and privilege because I knew I was already doing the kinds of things they were looking to align with, because that's truly how I look at this platform in the space that we share. So it's been fantastic. We've only started the Artist and Maker in like late October of last year, like November-ish, really. 6-7-ish months. And we're almost at 2,000 members. 1,800 are on our road to 2K. And just one club. VTubers is over like what, 5,000, almost 6,000, whatever the number.
Huge. It's so major.
Insane growth. I love it.
I love the creator clubs because it's hard. It's hard to meet other people in a space where there's so few of us who don't. I mean, I know I'm more of a hybrid. I game as well, but like those of us who are more focused on makers, crafting, Lego, Gunpla, all those things, food and drink, which is brand new. Like we said, it's really tough to, even though those are more niche communities and they can be smaller, it's still tough to meet other people or really find a way to connect with those. The Creator Club allows you to do that and find those other people who do all the things that you like or want to get into. What's really cool is that once you are in one of these clubs, you have the ability to kind of dip into the other ones and look at what's going on. You can, once you're in a club, you can say, oh, I also kind of want to check out what co-working and coding is doing. And I did that myself. I looked at what they were up to. I was like, this is really cool. I'm going to do some streams, and I know I need to get more of those on my schedule, but I love that group. And there's IRL people as well. And there's just so many, if you are involved with Twitch and you want to get to know more people in that space and you yourself are streaming it, that's really the only real requirement, is that if you yourself are doing those things, then I linked it in the chat. I'll put it on the podcast description notes. There's a form you can fill out and you can see about joining one of these clubs. And there's so many opportunities to meet cool people, and Pix here is the founder of the makers group, and it's fantastic. So check it out. I love it. And I love what you do, man. I love that you get to use your experience and your wisdom to help out other makers on the platform. It's fantastic. So
absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. We're in it together. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just started a Patreon, and I want to talk a little bit about that. It's something that we don't get to talk a lot about on this show. Tell me about the Patreon and what's going on there.
Yeah. So as I looked ahead at my diversification on platforms, it wasn't necessarily about hitting the go live or the record button elsewhere. I mean, there's other goals I have to do educational format on
Yeah.
YouTube and content just to have a central hub for the stuff that I would love to share with others from my perspective. Patreon was one of those things that it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to approach it. For those who don't know, Patreon is a platform that is committed to content creators of all walks and wakes, but it gives them sort of a membership or incentivized status or a thing to do, whether you're getting early access to YouTube videos from a YouTube creator or art previews or art prompts from other creators who in the art space. There's so many ways to look at how Patreon tackles that, but they allow content creators to gain a following on another platform that allows you to expand within what you do and really think about structuring yourself a little bit within membership tiers. If there's certain incentivization that you can do with that, it's allowing you to expand as a creator and gain support from those who really believe in the work you do, and new audiences as well from those who may not even be on Twitch and expanding. So it was a natural extension of what I was doing. My plan was to always hit a point where Patreon was more possible because of the creative offerings I had within pixel art or cross stitch, crochet, or fun things within Lego or model design and building and whatnot, and really finding like I had value to offer as a creator on a platform that I do respect to help make things possible, whether financially or reach with an audience. It's another way to diversify your portfolio. I talk to creators all the time and say, think of your content creation journey and then your creator resume. What are you doing within what you do, your space, your talent, your games, your art, your charity work, your brands, your partnerships, your collaborations, the platforms you're on? All of this is your resume per se, your CV. And Patreon was in one inherently sort of a natural extension to be able to then expand within and incentivize. And maybe there's people who all just want to support financially. It is super appreciated. It's part of the point. But it's allowing me to really expand within what I do and give back and add more work to the plate. But being ready to say, are you sure? Listen, you remember all those things you learned all this time? Yeah, well, here's more on the plate. Here's some more of a helping to serve out. So good luck to you. And also, it couldn't feel more rewarding, man. This is part of the gig.
Yep.
Right. It's not just hitting go live and pouring my heart and burning out or working my ass off to make it happen. It's because I genuinely want to chase the dream.
Yeah.
And to get where I want here, I need to establish myself in core and key areas. And Patreon was just one of those inherently as an extension of what I do.
Yeah.
But also the point of pulling community together just the same. So patreon.com/pix_stitch is the link if anyone wants to follow for free. The shameless plug moment, but it's there. Feel free to throw a follow, join us, keep up to date on some of the stuff I'm working on behind the scenes, demystifying it, but also holy crap, there's really that much in the pipeline that I look ahead at as I'm trying to roll it out.
Definitely. The link is
launched.
there. Yeah, it just launched. It's like a week old.
Just a week today.
Yeah, it's a week today. Pix mentioned it. It's free to follow him on there and get some updates as well as a way to support him. And then there are other tiers in which you get some great things from Pix in terms of just content or peeks at what he's up to. There's different levels at which you can support, whether it's at free or beyond. So make sure you check him out on Patreon as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm excited
for
for you. I know it's a big deal to kind of branch out, right? And like we said, diversifying the content and getting it in different places. So Twitch will always be our home in many ways, but we gotta, we still gotta, as we grow, continue to be in other places. So patreon.com/pix_stitch. Make sure you check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's the journey, Twitch, socials, YouTube's, all the things you can do, Patreon, and eventually getting to the not-for-profit. Like there's my journey and my curve and my path. If I were to say my timeline, like that's me planning how I do this and tackle it. And ready to keep learning from this crazy world of content creation.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's so much more for you on this journey. Yeah, 4 years in, and I know you have so much more ahead of you. So yeah. So really quick, where other than Patreon, where can people find you, Pix, on the internet?
Yeah. So I have a link tree where I kind of put everything in as just like the catch-all so that it's easier for people.
Right.
Although I haven't been on Instagram in a minute, only because a lot of what they've done with art and like the training of what the art we share and the AI and the algorithm, the bots and things, it's very much like the reels that I'm no good at or suck at, recording the moments versus the live. But I'm moved on to Blue Sky of recent. I'm on Twitter. I've got my fourth wall thrown if there's anything people want to look at on that side of things. I'm partnered with as well. Patreon is just started up and getting that running. YouTube is coming. I'm going to be doing a lot more recorded educational format content where I take a lot of what I've learned and kind of have a fun way to present it. All the workload on that plate to do. And generally, those are the key parts you can find me. Mm-hmm. You'll find me all over Twitch at some point within groups and communities, or trying to, spread the word. Hey, there's this thing called Twitch, and come over here, right? Beyond what we've already done. So yeah, feel free to check it out there. Throw on anyone following along. I really appreciate your time and consideration. I'm one dude here trying to make a living and trying to make an impact and do what I can.
I love it. We're nearing an end to this episode, but one of the last things I would love to ask is is there anything you want people to know about you that maybe they don't, or something that you want to share that you'd love to get out there that hasn't been really said?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. So I'll share some of the early roots stuff. The fun facts, the did you knows. Although we're talking about the makers crafting, the Twitch and the side of things there, a lot of my earliest roots started within music. I played 5 different instruments: alto sax, tenor sax, clarinet. I was an oboist for 4 or 5 years, and steel drum. And I got a lot into music composition, music arrangement, music theory. I was going for my Royal Conservatory level 1 and 2 for music theory.
Yeah.
I was an arts kid always, but music was my start and my passion, as much as physical arts or traditionals were there too. And I was in an orchestra, 52-piece orchestra. I was in a concert band. We traveled, toured, did charity events and organization stuff, homes for the elderly, kids in troubled situations. So, I was involved in the city in some part with the town halls that they had, or events for Christmas or the holiday stuff. So that was some of my early fun fact moments. Was just sort of the journey through wasn't always just so linear. It was very much trying to find things that I could gravitate to. We got kids involved who had disabilities with the music we were arranging for Super Mario themed concert on steel pan, because Mario steel pan, imagine. But getting them involved with the shakers, the cowbells, the clack sticks, like everything we had to pull them into our world and teach rhythm and understand despite some of those challenges. So there's always been a core heart involved in passion into what I do. So yeah, the musician that never was. I did a bit of DJing for a bit, very lightly, and some event stuff, but it's event planning and management really is what led me to want to continue pushing on my journey today, looking back at a lot of the stuff I did.
Yeah.
People joke PixCon, and I'm like, oh my God, so much already. Like, oh my, yeah, we're hosting it in Canada. Like, what the? Who said that? Stop it.
It's really interesting. One, I love the music background. Didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible, and it's really it all makes sense to me when you make when you make that sound. I was like, it's not a surprise. Yeah. But I can see that. The event management part also in the same vein, like, doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It shows. It really shows in like the things that you do when you put on the Makers Raid train for the creator clubs, when you helped out with that, all the things that you do as a founder in the creator clubs, as well as your work on your own streams, is very clear that you have a background in event planning, or like that you at least do enough of it that you know what you're doing. So yeah, all of those facts are very like, wow, that was really interesting, but also,
but I can see it.
I know it makes sense. It makes complete sense. Come on. Pix, this has been incredible. I really loved getting to know you and hearing your thoughts on all this, on everything that we do.
Thanks, man.
And I'm just glad we got to take the time. And thank you. Thank you for sitting with me and sharing your thoughts on all these things. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity. I really can't thank you enough for hosting this kind of a capacity and leading by example in this kind of space within collaboration. It's so crucial to creators and their success that I hope anything I've been able to offer today for anyone listening is any bit of motivation or inspiration, or a way to try to push yourself in the right direction without burnout in any capacity, but also create impact and seek discomfort, and be okay with that. And thank you again for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege. And keep that push alive, man.
Thank you.
I believe in this and what you're doing, this journey, this mission. I will forever champion more and more in what he's got. And y'all in my community, follow him, spread word on your own channel, raid into him, give him a shot, leave a lurk up as he does this crazy push. Because I think a few of us can relate to the stress of what really goes into it. And but worth every minute. So please elevate him. Please push him to that point. He's so deserving. Definitely.
I appreciate it. Those are some incredibly kind words. Thank you. Thank you, Pix.
Of course, brother. Of course.
One last thing, and a lot of people who listen and watch know, you might know if you've watched this. The closing statements, the closing moments. I always put it in the guest's hands. So, Pick Stitch, the floor is yours. Whatever it might be, final advice, final thoughts, or however you want to close out this show. The floor is yours.
I want to first talk to the people out there who are listening and potentially watching, and say that no matter the good, the bad, the ugly within life and the journey, it is shorter than you might imagine, and we're not getting any younger. Take a chance within yourself to find that special something. Take a moment to really look at your life and the things that you may be missing or have forgotten or parked or suppressed. Take any of that and bring it back. Pull it back. Do one thing. Find something. Find a thing that you've done. Take the curiosity moments of what you've had in your life, but never pursued or pushed. What does chasing the dream mean to you? What are things that you could do to elevate yourself and to really find something that you can chase? Don't think about all the things that you already have on your to-do list. Those are already there and established. Find that thing or a couple of things to add to that list that involve you, that you may not have really considered or have, but just didn't make the time. Don't tell me you don't have time. None of us do. Make it, carve it out, find it, and put a bit of that back into what matters to you. You never realize what that can do and create for yourself if you didn't give yourself a chance. Have that and go with it, push yourself, elevate it. Turn on the creativity part of your brain, because I know y'all had some art classes that you didn't do, or you have those things you didn't have, the instruments you played or never got to go for. You're not getting any younger, and life can change on the whim of a dime. I'm pointing an example where my life has gone through so many moments, just like all of you. But make the time. Don't make excuses. Find that thing or things and just go for it. It doesn't have to be an expensive hobby. It doesn't have to be an overpricey thing. Just find those moments that you never really pushed yourself on. You'd be surprised at what you're capable of. And I really encourage you to find what that is. No different than a child figuring out what sport they love and which they don't. There's your chance to still be a big kid again at heart. Don't lose sight of who you were as a kid all these years later. Find it. It's there. I just know you got to tap into it. And hopefully you'll figure that out and explore your own curiosities, I think is the piece that you've forgotten. So go for it, and never forget who you were and who you are as you figure out who you will continue or to be and evolve in. So that'd be my closing remarks and my kind of advice for folks there at the high level. So I hope that resonates with some folks out there. You matter. You are visible. You just got to make within more visible to others. Share it. Do that.